Okay. Bhuyaiva vivichami, bhuyaiva vivichami, Bhagavanatma mayaya, Bhagavanatma mayaya, Yatedam shrujate vishwam, Yatedam shrujate vishwam, Durvibhayam abhishvarai, Durvibhayam adhishvarai, Bhuyaiva vivichami, Bhuyaiva vivichami, Bhagavanatma mayaya, Bhagavanatma mayaya, Yatedam shrajate vishwam, Yatedam shrajate vishwam, Durvibhayam adhishvarai, Durvibhayam adhishvarai, Bhuyaiva vivichami, Bhuyaiva vivichami, Bhagavanatma mayaya, Bhagavanatma mayaya, Yatedam shrajate vishwam, Yatedam shrajate vishwam, Durvibhyam adhishvarai, Durvibhyam adhishvarai. So, word for word. Bhuya, again. Eva, also. Vivichami, I wish to learn. Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead. Atma, personal. Mayaya, by the energies. Yatha, as. Idam, this phenomenal world. Srijate, does create. Vishvam, universe. Durvibhyam, inconceivable. Adishvarai, by the great demigods. So we've got the translation and the purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So, translation, I beg to know from you how the personality of Godhead, by His personal energies, creates these phenomenal universes as they are, which are inconceivable even to the great demigods. So I'll repeat that. I beg to know from you how the personality of Godhead, by His personal energies, creates these phenomenal universes as they are, which are inconceivable even to the great demigods. Well, the purport. In every inquisitive mind, the important question of the creation of the phenomenal world arises. And therefore, for a personality like Maharaj Parikshit, who was to know all the activities of the Lord from his spiritual master, such an inquiry is not uncommon. For every unknown thing, we have to learn and inquire from a learned personality. The question of creation is also one of such inquiries to be made to the right person. The spiritual master, therefore, must be one who is the same who is Shamagna, as stated hereinbefore in connection with Sukadev Goswami. Thus, all enquiries on God which are unknown to the disciple may be made from the qualified spiritual master. And here the practical example is set by Maharaj Parikshit. So what this is saying is that if we have questions with regards to a spiritual nature, we should ask or inquire from the right source. Obviously from a bona fide representative of the Lord. In our case, at this moment in time, we have our spiritual ISKCON spiritual masters who can guide us very, very nicely. And of course, in this day and age, we've been guided by Srila Prabhupada, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. These are authorities on Vedic scriptures. There has been cases where, we all have inquisitive minds, and we want to know who is God, where does God live? As a child, I always used to ask, where does God live? Where is He? I mean, that's a very natural question. And this is Kali Yuga, and you'll get all sorts of answers. God's this, God's that. They're different, very many answers, and very and easily we can be misguided. And there have been many people out there who are still living under this misguidance, and all sorts of practices are being imposed on them. Just recently, I was watching a documentary in one of the European countries, and there was somebody there who is claiming to be the second Jesus Christ, and is living out there in the Alps. It's a country like it's Switzerland or Sweden, somewhere like that. And every morning, every morning, the residents of that place, they gather around in the hills, and they sing all of Jesus Christ hymns, and try to wake him up, and he's living in a castle right on top of the hill, and he doesn't even make an appearance. And this was on as a documentary that I was watching, and it's so easy to be fooled. I mean, in this day and age, we are looking for God. I remember my first question was, how many gods are there? I mean, in the Hindu culture, there's many, and we kind of we have many stories, and there some of them are from Vedic scriptures, and others have been distorted. And so we wonder, we are very lucky that we have the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is authority, and it gives us our information that we need. We have Bhagavad Gita as it is, given and translated by Srila Prabhupada, which is as it is, so we don't get misguided. In any case, it's very important to get the right information. Otherwise, our spiritual life is damaged. We have to be very careful who we select to answer our questions, our inquiries. So here, Maharaj Parikshit has decided to inquire from Sukadev Goswami, who is one of the Mahajans. And he is authority. Whatever he says is as it is. Sukadev Goswami's background, of course, is that he comes from the Krishna Lok. His previous life, he was Srimati Radharani's parrot, and he knew everything there is to know about Krishna, about the spiritual life, about the cosmos, the creations. So here, Parikshit Maharaj wants to know about the creation. So to continue from there, thus all inquiries on God which are unknown to the disciple may be made from the qualified spiritual master. And here the practical example is set by Maharaj Parikshit. Now, in that sense, I just wanted to add, in the Bhagavad Gita, Arjun also sets the same example. And in that, he actually inquires from the Lord. I've written it down here. Just as an example, Arjun decides to choose none other than Lord Krishna to make his inquiries. And in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8.1, Arjun inquired from Lord Krishna, "O my Lord, O Supreme Person, what is the Brahman? What is the self? What are fruitive activities? What is this material manifestation? And what are demigods? Please explain this to me." this is how we should be. I mean, if you have any questions, the best, if your spiritual master doesn't happen to be there, or you don't have one, just turn the pages of the Bhagavad Gita. And that Bhagavad Gita is actually the Vani from Lord Krishna. So Lord Krishna in that chapter 8 of the Bhagavad Gita, describes the manifestations of the material manifestations, which is partly the question here that Parikshit Maharaj is inquiring about. What are the manifestations? What's creation? So it was, however, already known to Maharaj Parikshit that everything we see is born out of the energy of the Lord. As we have all learned in the very beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, Janmadiyasya Yataha, Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.1. So Maharaj Parikshit wanted to know the process of creation. The origin of creation was known to him, otherwise he would not have inquired how the personality of Godhead by his different energies creates this phenomenal world. The common man also knows that the creation is made by some creator, and it is not created automatically. The common man also knows the creation is made by some creator. There's some foolish people out there who don't even believe this, that I have experienced once when I used to live in Parramatta. I was walking down the river. There's a very lovely river there that you can use for chanting. Happened to be just near my house, walking distance, 2 minutes. And I was chanting my japa. He came and asked about the same question, creation. How did we, how did we come to exist? And I explained to him the Bhagavad Gita, that there is Lord, personality of Godhead. It all emanates from him. And he said, I think that creation just came into being out of the Big Bang Theory, which was really funny. And I said, where does the Big Bang Theory come from? And he said, from what was it, a dark hole in the universe. And I said, what's the dark hole in the universe? He said, it's basically nothing. And there was a big bang, and then we all got created. So this is what happens in ignorance, and we really need to get to the right source of information. And it was very hard for me to convince that, you can't produce something out of nothing, basically. So that was his theory, that there was nothing there. There was a black hole in the universe, and we all came out of there. So there are different theories out there. And watching the movies and Bollywood movies and science fiction movies, with its own theory doesn't help. It kind of misguides a lot of people out there. So it's very important to read the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam. So to continue from there, we have no experience in the practical world that a thing is created automatically. Foolish people say that the creative energy is independent and acts automatically as electrical energy works. But the intelligent man knows that even the electrical energy is generated by an expert engineer in the localized powerhouse. And thus the energy is distributed everywhere under the... Oops, let me see, my page is not working. Okay, sorry about that. But the intelligent man knows that even the electrical energy is generated by an expert engineer in the localized powerhouse. And thus the energy is distributed everywhere under the engineer's supervision. The Lord's supervision in a connection with creation is mentioned even in the Bhagavad Gita 9.1. It is clearly said here that material energy, so this is what the Bhagavad Gita says, this is Lord Krishna's explanation. It is clearly said that the material energy is a manifestation of many such energies of the Supreme. Parasya Shaktir Vividhaiva Shruyate. An inexperienced boy may be struck with wonder by seeing the impersonal actions of electronics or many other wonderful things conducted by electrical energy. But an experienced man knows that behind the action is a living man who creates such energy. Lord Krishna has actually many energies and many incarnations. It is very clearly his incarnations. He has unlimited incarnations, and they're different levels. He has plenary expansions. He has different avatars. He has yuga expansions. I'll read a little bit about that. I have it in my years ago. I wrote it down in my notes, so might be able to explain a little bit on some of the incarnations that Lord Krishna has. So, in different millennia, this is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1.3. So you'll find the information in the various texts on Canto 1.3. We've already covered it this year. In different millennia, there are different incarnations. They are innumerable, although many of them are very prominent, such as the Matsya, the Kurma, the Varaha, Rama, Narsimha, Vamana, and many others. So every millennium there is a incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Like, for example, Matsya, he came as a fish and he rescued the Vedas. The story was somewhat like the Noah's Ark, where there was flooding and everything was submerged underwater. So he rescued the Vedas. Matsya, Kurma is the form of a turtle. Varaha is the form of a boar, where he rescued the planet Earth when it was submerged underwater. So in order to bring up the planets. So this is every millennium. And then there are other incarnations which are Leela incarnations. Then there are qualitative incarnations such as Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva or Rudra. And they are in charge of different modes of material nature. Lord Vishnu is not different from the personality of Godhead. And Lord Shiva is the marginal position between the Godhead and the Jiva. So he's in between. Lord Shiva has most of the qualities of the personality of Godhead. 50, I believe, or is it 55? 55. It's given very nicely in the Nectar of Devotion. I might be able to read the qualities, how many qualities God, the personality of God himself has, and how many qualities the demigods and the other incarnations have. Not all the incarnations have 100%. That's the whole point of the Vedic scriptures. Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, he has all of the qualities, and there are 64 qualities, and he has them all. And what separates him from the others are four main qualities which none other incarnations have, not even Lord Vishnu, who is the personality of Godhead, but even Lord Vishnu doesn't have those 4 qualities that Krishna possesses. I'll go back and read what those qualities are, the 4. Anyway, I won't be able to read all the 64, but the 4 main. I've written here also, Lord Shiva, this is from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1.3. Lord Shiva is not an ordinary living being. He is the plenary portion of the Lord. But because Lord Shiva is in direct touch with the material nature, he is not exactly the same transcendental position as Lord Vishnu. The difference is that like between milk and curd. Curd is nothing but milk, yet it cannot be used in the place of milk. So Lord Shiva is, because he has to interact with the material nature. Krishna does not interact with the material nature. Krishna remains aloof. He has his agents. The material nature is the creation of this universe. Our planets, living beings, animals, all living entities. Krishna, all he does is just basically glances at the material energy. He just looks and things are being created. He actually impregnates the material energy and all these manifestations occur. There are other incarnations such as Manus. Manus are, this is the whole story of the Brahma. And it says within 1 day of Lord Brahma. It's by our years, it is 4.3 million multiplied by 1,000 years. So 4.3 million years, multiply that by 1,000 years, that's 1 day of Lord Brahma. And within that 1 day, there are 14 Manus. Now, Manus are the incarnations or certain incarnations which populate the universe. And there are 14 Manus in 1 day of Lord Brahma. And in 1 month of Brahma has 30 days in 1 month and 12 months in a year. So it's very similar like us. And there are 420 Manus in the month of Brahma, 1 month, and 5,040 Manus in 1 year. Now Brahma lives for 100 years. And right now we are on the seventh Manu, which is Vaivashvata Manu, and he's the 7th one. So from that calculations, we are halfway through Lord Brahma's life. So that will be Lord Brahma. Our Lord Brahma right now would be around 50 or 54 years old in that our calculations. Obviously, there's a whole lot of there's a very in-depth calculation of what happens. Brahma is obviously the one who creates the living beings through Brahma, and he creates the Manus and all. Sometimes it says here that if there is no Manu prominent within the universe, then Lord himself takes the birth of takes the incarnation. He himself puts himself as a Manu to populate this universe. So there are also different kinds of avatars, like the Satyuga, Treta Yuga. So this is all the yugas. Right now we are in Kali Yuga, Dwapar. So each yuga also has incarnations, and Lord Krishna's colors are like white, red, black, yellow. So in Dwapar, Lord Krishna is black, Dwapar Yuga. Kali Yuga, he comes as a yellow incarnation, which is Lord Chaitanya, who was born in 500 years ago. But we've got another one coming, which will be a white incarnation as Kalki, after which Kali Yuga will end. So Kalki will, when he comes, he's going to basically annihilate all the miscreants. Only the devotees, pure devotees, practicing devotees of the Lord will be saved. So that's why it's really important to make sure that you are practicing devotional life. You don't want to live till the end of the Kali Yuga to be basically destroyed. And things are going to get worse. If you think that right now it's bad, coronavirus, terrorism, whatever, it's Prabhupada said this place is actually no place for a gentleman. So we have to basically inquire from the authorities and try to practice Krishna consciousness. That's the intelligent thing to do. So okay, so I wanted to also read to you the qualities of Krishna. Let's see if I can find it. Yes, I can. From Nectar of Devotion, and this is chapter 21. And this is to do with the qualities. I mean, if you really want to know who is God. Basically, in order to understand who is God, it will be written in this purport later on. You've got to understand the greatness of God. You've got to understand the greatness. And on the other hand, the other side of this is we've got to understand our own personal insignificance. How insignificant we are in order to understand God. So, I mean, we'll know who is God when we actually realize the greatness, how great he is, and we'll know, okay, well, this is God. So according to our scriptures written by Srila Prabhupada, he proves it many, many times over. All our Vedic scriptures all point towards Lord Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, mainly the Bhagavad Gita. So the qualities, there are 50, well, basically there's 64 qualities that proves that there's someone is personality of Godhead. Now, there are 50 main qualities which the jiva souls are entities like us. So we are the jiva soul. And the highest jiva soul in this universe is Lord Brahma. So he's a highly qualified jiva soul, ordinary living beings. And now any one of us, we can achieve those 50 qualities. As parts and parcels of Supreme Lord, the individual living entity can also possess these 50 qualities in minute quantities, provided they become pure devotees of the Lord. So we've got to be pure devotees of the Lord before we can achieve those 50 qualities. Even then, we achieve that in minute qualities. Now, after the 50 qualities, besides all of the above 50 qualities, Lord Krishna possesses 5 more, which are sometimes partially manifested in the persons of Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. So Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva can go up to 55 main qualities. And then, apart from that 55, then we've come to Lord Vishnu Tattva. And there are another 5 qualities on top of that 55, so that makes it 60. So Lord Narayan, the body of Lord Narayan or Lord Vishnu, has 60 qualities, and he has the 56th one is he has inconceivable potency, unaccountable universes generated from his body. So it is Lord Vishnu. We've got a picture here in the temple of Lord Vishnu floating in the cosmos, basically, and all these from every single pore of his body, these universes emanate. So this is his potency. Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva don't have that potency, but Narayan does. So he unaccountable universes generate from his body, and he is the original source of all incarnations. 59, he is the giver of salvation to the enemies whom he kills, and he is the attractor of liberated souls. So those are 60 qualities that Lord Narayan had. But besides these qualities, there are 4 other transcendental qualities that no other incarnations or plenary portions of Krishna, they don't possess. So Krishna he has the sole exclusive qualities that sets him apart from all the rest above Lord Narayan. And I was going to read out these qualities. These 4 qualities are, first of all, he is the performer of wonderful varieties of pastimes. Especially his childhood pastimes. I mean, we know that he steals butter, he eats dirt, he opens his mouth and the entire universe is present in there. Nobody else can do all those things. I mean, he's just a baby, and he's not even crawling yet. I mean, he was just born, practically, and he kills a demoness Putna. So no one can do these pastimes. So it's all exclusive to Krishna. He's a performer of wonderful varieties of pastimes, and basically entertains the entire creation with all his drama. He's a drama king. And then the second one is he's surrounded by devotees endowed with wonderful love of Godhead. I mean, that is self-explanatory. When you come to our temple, you see devotees, they are just basically so many, and we all love Krishna. He's always surrounded by gopis. I mean, wherever he goes, there's thousands, I mean, millions, I mean, entire creation, they all love Krishna. He's always surrounded by wonderful devotees who love him. So that's the second quality of the 4. And then the third one is he attracts all living entities all over the universe by playing on his flute. I mean, there is no other flute player who does that. It says that when he plays his flute, everybody gets attracted, from the demigods to all living entities. Basically, everything melts into a puddle. You know, the stones melt and the rivers start to halt, or the river is, flow in another direction. Everybody is stunned. I always had this desire to hear his flute. So in a dream, I heard the melody once, and I heard the melody, basically the melody of, from the dream that I had, the melody of Lord Krishna's flute. The melody is the tune. Is Srimati Radharani. That's what she was. Actually, the dream was given to me by Srimati Radharani. The melody, I didn't see him playing the flute, but I heard the melody. And Radharani was explaining to me that I am the melody of Lord Krishna's flute. And the melody of the flute was melting everything, including me. So everything was like honey, or everything had just turned into melted like honey. And as the melodies were having these intonations, all the living entities were also up and down like that, bouncing. It was incredible. I wish I could describe it further, but it was in the form of sound. That's how far I have gotten. It was in a dream. But I remember as a 10-year-old child, my parents were not particularly worshipping Krishna, but I remember as a child, maybe it was during past life, I really badly wanted to hear the flute of Lord Krishna, and I wouldn't sleep at night. 10-year-old girl in her room, hiding from her parents in the middle of the night, would stare at the window outside in the universe, wondering where Krishna is playing his flute. Night after night, and I used to be very late in the mornings for school. My father used to be very, very angry. His temper was on the tip of his nose. Why is this girl always late for school? I didn't tell him that. And then one day my brother discovered me standing by the window, and I had to lie. And I said, oh, I think I saw a spaceship in the sky. And they tease me up till today that, she sees spaceships. But basically I wasn't looking at spaceships. I was trying to hear Lord Krishna's flute. Anyway, to continue on the purport, it's quite a long purport. So I decided to take breaks and explain a little bit along the way. So anyway, and in experience, where are we? An inexperienced man knows that behind the action is a living man who creates such energies. Similarly, the so-called scholars and philosophers of the world may, by mental speculation, present so many utopian theories. So here is where people are being misled. By mental speculation, present so many utopian theories about the impersonal creation of the universe. But an intelligent devotee of the Lord, by studying the Bhagavad Gita, can know that behind the creation is the hand of the Supreme Lord. Just as in generating the electrical powerhouse, there is a resident engineer. The research scholar finds out the cause and the effect of everything. But research scholars as great as Brahma, Shiva, Indra, and many other demigods are sometimes bewildered by seeing the wonderful creative energies of the Lord. So what to speak of the tiny, mundane scholars? Oh, hold on a moment. I think I did not read to you the fourth quality, right? So the third one was playing the flute. The fourth one was he has wonderful excellence of beauty. So Krishna his beauty is unrivaled. That's the fourth quality. Sorry about that. So continuing from there, the research scholar finds out the cause and effect of everything, but research scholars as great as Brahma, Shiva, Indra, and many other demigods are sometimes bewildered by seeing the wonderful creative energies of the Lord. So what to speak of the tiny, mundane scholars dealing in petty things? As there are differences in the living conditions of different planets of the universe, and as one planet is superior to others, the brains of the living entities in those respective planets are also of different categorical values. So this is interesting. It says here that there are different planets, obviously, and the planets have different conditions. And it depends on how superior one planet is from the other. The brains of the living entities are also would be superior, depending on the superiority of the planet. So if we think we are intelligent, we are not, because there are other planets which have far more intelligent beings. However, we are very lucky that we have the Maha Mantra, we have Srila Prabhupada, and we can advance 100%, provided we endeavor with our devotional, our spiritual progress. So, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, one can compare the long duration of life of the inhabitants of Brahma's planet. So, I did speak to you a little bit earlier about Lord Brahma's lifespan. I mean, one day is 4.3 million of our years, multiply that by 1,000. So, and then he has 100 years of life. So, that's just one day. So you do the calculation. Mathematically, it will take me a while to actually calculate that, but it's a very, very long time. So they are inhabitants on Brahma's planet, and they live for a very long time. So it says here, which is inconceivable to the inhabitants of this planet Earth. As I said, we cannot even conceive what or how the planets and the beings on Brahma's planet are. To the categorical value of the brain of Brahmaji. Also, also inconceivable to any great scientist on this planet. And apparently for our universe, it's a fact, we read it in the Vedic scriptures, our universe is actually the smallest of all the other universes. There are very many universes out there, and Lord Brahma is the smallest one. He's got 3 heads, extra heads. There are some planets which have universes, they have Lord Brahma there also with many heads, thousands. 100 heads, 200, 300, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000, depends on how large the universe is. And just it's the intelligence of Brahma is inconceivable. And this is just Brahma that we are talking about. I mean, the greatness of Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, is inconceivable. And once we actually are convinced of that, then we can actually have unflinching faith in Lord Krishna, that he is that great and he is God. It takes a while, and together with that, we need to also understand how insignificant we are, the Jiva souls. So, and with such high brain power, even Brahmaji has described in his great Samhita, Brahma Samhita, as follows: Ishvara Parama Krishna, Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. There are many personalities possessing qualities of Bhagwan, but Krishna is the supreme because none can excel him. So I was just talking about the qualities of Lord Krishna from the nectar of devotion. So we know that he has exclusive qualities which nobody else has. His body is eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. He is the primeval Lord Govinda and cause of all causes. Brahmaji admits Lord Krishna to be the supreme cause of all causes. But the persons with tiny brains within this petty planet think of the Lord as one of them. And thus when Lord says in the Bhagavad Gita that he, Lord Krishna, is in all, the speculative philosophers and the mundane wranglers deride him. And the Lord regretfully says, Avajananti mam mudha manushrim tanum ashritam param bhagvam ajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. Fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature and my supreme dominion over all that be. There are very many foolish people. I mean, those who go on Harinam and book distributions, especially our book distributors, they understand that what this particular verse is saying. Because we come across so many people who will just simply not believe that Lord Krishna is God, and they take him as a human form, and they have their own theories, and some force their religions on us. So they are fools, it says here. Fools deride me. So Brahma and Shiva, and what to speak of other demigods, are bhutas or powerful created demigods who manage universal affairs. Much like the ministers appointed by a king. So Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma are ministers of Lord Krishna. They do the work. Gurudev was saying this story that there was somebody who went to a temple in India and was looking at all these statues in the temple. There was Lord Shiva, there was Lord Brahma, there was Ganesha, there was Durga, so many. And he was looking and he said, which one of these will be God? There was also Lord Krishna there. He was playing the flute and some gopis behind him. And he said, he picked Lord Krishna out. And he said, he is God. And he was asked, how do you know he's God? And he said, well, everybody else is doing some work. He's the only one who's having fun and enjoying. And that's what Krishna is, Sachidananda Vigraha. He is eternally blissful and he enjoys. He doesn't do the work. He gets others to do the work for him, to the point of creation and annihilation, everything else. Everybody does for him. We are his servants. Everyone is his servant, everyone. Krishna doesn't have to do a thing. So, the ministers may be Ishwaras or controllers, but the Supreme Lord is Maheshwara or the creator of the controllers. Persons with a poor fund of knowledge do not know this and therefore have the audacity to deride him because he comes before us by his causeless mercy, occasionally as a human being. The Lord is not like a human being. He is Sachidananda Vigraha, or the absolute personality of Godhead. There is no difference between his body and his soul. He is both power and the powerful. Lord Krishna, everything, even say with his limbs, he can do anything. He can see with his hands. He can eat with his eyes. He actually procreates just by looking at the material energy, and we get produced. He doesn't, he himself, everything about him is Krishna. There is nothing there that is, that it isn't. When he came, descended to this planet as Lord Krishna, he came in his own body. Not different from Krishna. His body never changes. Oh, of course, he has different incarnations, but it's all him. And to the point that he is present in his names. And for this age of Kali, he's promised that he'll be present in sound. Because we are trying to look for Krishna and it's not possible for him to be here. So he's made this, he's given us this benediction, special provision for the residents of Kali Yuga. We are really, really fallen. We don't know much about spiritual progress. We have to learn from the books. We have to ask our acharyas, our spiritual masters. So he said, poor fools of Kali Yuga. He doesn't say that. But he has given us that blessing, that he will be present in sound. And it's very hard for people to maneuver around that fact. They don't believe that Krishna is present in sound. But actually he is. He is very much present in sound. Whenever we chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, you might not feel it. But if you ask those who chant, without offenses, they chant. Those people who have progressed in the chanting, they will be able to confirm that they can feel Lord Krishna present in his sound vibration when we chant the Hare Krishna. He is present, and as soon as we know Lord Krishna is powerful, he is God. And that sound vibration, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, when Lord Krishna becomes present, he manifests himself in sound, he comes with all the power. So there is the power of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is unlimited for those who know this secret. So let's continue. He comes before us by his causeless mercy, occasionally as a human being. The Lord is not like a human being. He is Sachidananda Vigraha, or the absolute personality of Godhead. And there is no difference between his body and his soul. He is both the power and the powerful. We read that before. Maharaj Parikshit did not ask his spiritual master Sukadev Goswami to narrate Lord Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. He wanted to hear first about the creation of the Lord. Sukadev Goswami did not say that the king should hear about the direct transcendental pastimes of the Lord. The time was very short, and naturally Sukadev Goswami could have gone directly to the 10th canto to make a shortcut of the whole thing, as generally done by the professional reciters. But neither the king nor the great speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam jumped up like the organizers of Bhagavatam. Both of them proceeded systematically so that both future readers and hearers might take lessons from the example of the procedure of reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam. So there's a procedure to the Srimad Bhagavatam, which we are reading today. I'm holding in my hand. We don't normally jump straight to the pastimes of Lord Krishna. Well, it makes sense too. We ask, who is God? Where does He live? I mean, how did we come into this creation? So we are still in the beginnings of the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is just Canto 2, and we are discussing the process of creation. The pastimes of Lord Krishna, meaning what He did, His activities, how He was born, His devotees, everything to do with His pastimes is described in the 10th canto. So we are still in the second. It says here, Sukadev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj, they didn't jump directly to knowing the pastimes, activities of Lord Krishna. He wanted to know the creation first, the manifestations. If I have some time, I will talk about that a little bit more. The creations, on how we come into being. So, those who are in control of the external energy of the Lord, or in other words, those who are in the material world, must first of all know how the external energy of the Lord is working under the direction of the Supreme Personality. And afterwards, one may try to enter into the activities of his internal energy. The mundanes are mostly worshippers of Durga Devi, the external energy of Krishna, but they do not know that Durga Devi is but the shadow energy of the Lord. Behind her astonishing display of material workings is the direction of the Lord, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 9.10. The Brahma Samhita affirms that Durga Shakti is working by the direction of Govinda. And without his sanction, the powerful Durga Shakti cannot move even a blade of grass. So there are many devotees of Durga Devi, and they believe that she creates everything, and she is God. I had the experience of meeting such a devotee of Durga Devi. She was not prepared, she's a lady, not prepared to listen to Lord Krishna's, about Lord Krishna. And that Lord Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. Very difficult. But it must be understood that in the Bhagavad Gita, it states there, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna directly admits that he's God. He in fact states that he's God. And everything works under his energy. And he displayed the Virat form. There are many, numerous forms which he displayed to Arjuna. And that no one else can do that. He's the only one who can do that because he's God. And the external energy is Durga Devi, Durga Shakti, and she works in the direction under the direction of Lord Krishna. She doesn't do anything that is not his wish. So he sanctioned the powerful. He sanctioned. Therefore, the neophyte devotee, instead of jumping at once to the platform of transcendental pastimes presented by the internal energy of the Lord, may know how great the Supreme Lord is by inquiring about the process of his creative energy. In the Chaitanya Charimrita also, descriptions of the creative energy of the Lord and the Lord's hand in it are explained. Actually, it explains very well in Chaitanya Charimrita, Adi Lila, chapter 5. The creations, the spiritual creations. Lord Krishna's first expansion is Lord Balaram. And Lord Balaram is Sankarshan. And then this is all very nicely explained in Chaitanya Charimrita. This is, we are talking about the spiritual realm. We're not even in our universe yet. This is the Lord Krishna's abode, which is Krishna Lok, Goloka Vrindavan, which is far above far, far above our universes. And Lord Krishna is the center. And then he's surrounded by numerous planets. They are Vaikuntha planets. And they're not influenced by material energy. There is no pain. There's no none of the workings in the material nature that we live in. It's not there. It's not present in spiritual, but everything is present in the spiritual world in 100% purity. Basically, there's no pain, and we are just a perverted reflection. There's birth, old age, disease, death down here. There's no such thing over there. So, of course, each Vaikuntha planets that surrounds Lord Krishna, there's a Lord Vishnu who is the head of that planet. And Sankarshan, who is Lord Balaram, he expands further into quadruple. So he first of all he expands into Mahasankarshan, and then Mahasankarshan expands into Vasudev. What is it? I've written it there. Aniruddha, and two others, which I have written down. Just have to read it out. So this is the spiritual side of things, and then obviously we have Sankarshan as the. I'll read that out a little bit later. I'll finish this and then I'll go into that. So Chaitanya Charimrita has warned the neophyte devotees to be seriously on guard against the pitfall of neglecting the knowledge about Krishna in regard to how great he is. Only when one knows Lord Krishna's greatness can one firmly put one's unflinching faith in him. Otherwise, like the common man, even the great leaders of men who will mistake Lord Krishna for one of the many demigods or historical personality or myth only. The transcendental pastimes of the Lord in Vrindavan or even at Dwarka are relishable for persons who have already qualified themselves in advanced spiritual techniques. And the common man may be able to attain by such a plane by the gradual processes of service, enquiries, and we shall see in the behavior of Maharaj Parikshit. So that ends the purport, and we've just got 15 minutes. Okay, so I'll just see what I've got here that I can explain. With regards to the manifestations, the manifestations of the creations are, well, first of all, the four expansions that I was talking about is Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyuman, and Anirudh. And these are the quadruple forms. But they are actually in the spiritual realm, which is a little bit different from the material creations. The material creations is explained in chapter 9 of the Bhagavad Gita. So that is a little bit different. We have Karano Dakshai Vishnu, who is Mahavishnu, who is floating in the causal ocean, and from him all the universes emanate. And then we have Garbhodakshai Vishnu, who lies down with Anandant Shesha in Shwetadeep, and he is the head of the universes. So basically, we have one Vishnu who is emanating all the universes, and then we have another Vishnu, expansion Garbhodai Vishnu, Dakshai Vishnu, is presiding over each of the universes. So many Vishnus, however many universes there are, and then through that we have. The final Vishnu, which is the Paramatma, which is in every living entity. That's the Kshirodakshai Vishnu. So that's the material creation. But the spiritual one is a slightly different, where we have Lord Krishna expanding himself as Lord Balaram. That's the first expansion. And that's the creation of the spiritual planets. So we have two different explanations. If we want to read about the material creation, which is more applicable to us, we can read in chapter 9.8 and 9.10 of the Bhagavad Gita. Once we actually get convinced about these creations, we can then discuss about the pastimes of Lord Krishna. I mean, then we tend to know, well, God is so powerful, and what does he do, and what makes him so great, and then we can actually explain the pastimes, and we feel the bhava, and we get through there. But in order to get through there, it is recommended that we chant. The reason for that is so that we can be purified enough to be able to understand. The power of the Maha Mantra is what purifies our hearts. It cleanses our hearts from all anarthas, offenses. It cleanses us, our hearts, with all offenses, and we are able to understand. And we have this desire, basically. This desire, this bhakti is placed in our hearts in the form of a seed, and so that it fructifies, and the bhakti increases, and that seed has been placed there, or can only be placed there by a devotee, pure devotee of Lord Krishna. So, in other words, association is quite important too, in order to get there. So first of all, we must inquire from a highly realized soul. In our case, we are very lucky to have the books of Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So we already have the material, the resources, and just by reading the books, we can have the Bhakti Lata Beej, the seed, installed in our hearts that will grow. So the question then becomes, can the Bhakti Lata, the Beej, be there without a representative of Krishna? The answer is no. According to a class that I was listening to, Bir Krishna Maharaj, my Gurudev, he said it has to be planted there by a devotee, through association. So we've got to, take shelter of a devotee who is highly qualified enough to give us that. And so it takes a lot of lifetimes. Krishna arranges that, by the way. So it takes a lot of lifetimes to practice such kind of devotion before we can come across the Bhakti Lata Beej that will deliver us. There are many pastimes. There are devotees out there who jump straight to the pastimes, and it's recommended not to, because we are not really ready for that yet. We need to be, in order to, if somebody has to run a marathon, first they train. They train a lot and then they run the marathon. So if we need to understand Lord Krishna and his pastimes, we need to be able to train for that. So get the background information. Training is chanting, reading, hearing from bona fide representatives before we can basically look at Lord Krishna's pastimes even. That's how much of a process it is. And obviously the intimate pastimes of Lord Krishna and Radharani is still a mystery. So I would not go there, nor would I want to at the moment, because I feel like I'm not qualified. There's a lot of us who are not qualified. There's some very wonderful pastimes. A few favorite ones that I can explain about Lord Krishna that I find one is hilarious is once Krishna was stealing some butter from the gopis,